Well, hello there, my fellow rushers. How are you doing today? King Rex here. And today we're gonna be doing something interesting for today's challenge. We'll be trying to see how long can I survive on Veteran in Temple of Evil with the alternate towers, which in this case is Tribal Axe Throwers, what else? Knight Templars, Dwarf, and Archmage. And I'll be using Karkinos because his battle hardening is actually very good on this level. And he's technically kind of an alternate hero. Maybe not for Temple of Evil. In fact, I would say that he's probably one of the top 3 heroes to use in Endless mode if you're going for a super high score. And you'll see why later. I mean, in a regular game, if we compare him to like the others, he's definitely one of the more questionable options. So I think he kind of fits in with the theme of the challenge. So that's why I decided to pick him. I was kind of considering another hero, but Karkanos is probably gonna bring me to the highest score possible, so we'll try to see what's gonna happen. Now the reason why I picked this level in particular is pretty simple. Usually this level is much easier than the other one, because it doesn't have too many, like sure it has threatening enemies like matriarchs, parasites, all that, but I just find it to be much easier than the other one. In the other level, you get enemies teleporting to your exit, you have enemies becoming invisible, which means that they're impervious to damage. Then you also have the whopping Sand Wraiths and Dune Terrors, which is very annoying to deal with. Well, mostly the Dune Terrors. The Sand Wraiths, I can kinda handle them. If you have enough artillery, they're pretty much non-existent, but when you're talking about stuff like Dune Terrors, I just can't stand them. And this level is a little bit longer, I think. I'm not quite sure if that's the case, but I'm pretty sure it is. It has longer paths than the other one, so that's why I decided to pick it. And yeah, so far it's not really going like nothing interesting is going on so far. As you can see, we're just playing regularly. Keep in mind veteran difficulty, so the enemies are at their strongest, pretty much right from the get-go. And yeah. Let's talk about the towers now and see why people use them, call them quote-unquote the alternate towers. Well, basically, the Tribal Axe Thrower is more of a supportive tower rather than an actual super mega damage tower like the Crossbow Fort is. Even though the Crossbow Fort has its supportive ability, which, if you don't know, it's basically the Falconeer ability, which basically allows him to boost towers nearby, or in its radius to be more exact, and it gives them 20% more range and 15% chance to perform a critical attack, which basically deals double damage, or something like that. I don't remember how the crits used to work in Frontiers. I know that crits and Origins used to do double damage from the Golden Longbow, and I think they do true damage, question mark? I don't know, I need to check the wiki again, but I'm kinda lazy, so I cannot be bothered. Also, we're getting our first mini-boss. Oh no! Use the Rain of Fire, use Karkinos, and look at that. He's not moving. Karkinos is actually surprisingly tanking this guy. Like, look at that. Absolutely melted. What a disappointment of a mini-boss. The first one was a joke. Yeah, that should have been obvious. And yeah, the next thing that we need to worry about here is probably air support and also parasites, because look at that. We're getting some Reapers over there. That's gonna be problematic. But anyhow, let's get back to the towers. So, the main issue with the Tribal Axe Thrower is that it's not really meant to solo. Like sure, if you're playing on iOS, where the Totem of Weakness is able to be stacked with another one, then yeah, you probably can. But like in the definitive version of the game, this is not quite the case. Like sure, that doesn't mean that you can beat the entire game with Tribal Axe Throwers. Like you definitely can beat the main campaign. The real Morgan has done it a while ago, but it is definitely possible. But to be honest, as I said, he's more of a support tower rather than a damage tower. The Crossbow Fort beats him by every mean, due to the fact that he has the Bolt Barrage ability, which has very short cooldown and it deals a lot of burst damage. Now let's move on to the barracks. I don't think I need to explain myself here, Templars suck. But the thing is that, even though in a regular game you never see Templars just because of, you know, many reasons, they actually have some usage. If you have to deal with an enemy that has over like a lot of damage, or for example he deals area damage, then they're actually better than assassins, because even though assassins can dodge melee attacks, they cannot dodge ranged nor area damage attacks. So that technically makes Templars pretty good in endless mode, at least in the beginning, because that way they can still tank the boss for quite a while. Because of their high armor, well, not high armor, medium armor. They have pretty close to high armor though. I think they have like 60% armor, maybe? So 60% is pretty close to that. Like, they need just 10% more armor and they'll be having flipping high armor, which is gonna make them that much more durable. But in any case, they are pretty good against the mini boss, so I guess we have some usage for them, at least in endless mode. Like in a regular game, they may be like very outclassed, but here they're actually kind of decent. As far as the mages goes, I decided to pick the Archmage because, for the most part, even though his DPS is slightly higher than the Necromancer, I feel like the Necromancer is in general more useful due to the fact that he provides with so much additional stalling power. And on top of, I mean, sure, the Pestilence is kind of meh, like it's pretty bad ability, but the sheer amount of stalling power that you get is insane. And he's virtually more useful than the Archmage. The Archmage is good in some situations, like Dark-like Depths, which was the level that I think I did a guide video on like yesterday. He performed pretty well there, but for the most part I find myself using Necromancers way more than Archmages. So yeah, it will be interesting to see how they will perform in Endless Mode, because the only really good thing that they have, at least in my opinion, for Endless Mode is their Twister ability. Because they can blow back enemies in case they get very close to your exit. Which, by the way, was an ability that I didn't get. So yeah, that's great. As far as the artillery goes, I mean, I know that a lot of people tend to like the Dwarf, but let's be honest, Battle Mecha is virtually better than in most situations. I mean, sure, if we're talking about like Endless Mode comparison, I guess both of them are kind of equal. Dwarf is just really good in general for huge swarms of enemies, and for some global stunning, or at least, you know, massive stunning. And the Battle Mecha is just really good for bosses, because not only does it do consistent damage, but it also has the Waste Disposal, which, believe it or not, is very good when you combine it with the right heroes. If you combine it with Karkinos or Bruxa for that matter, the mini-boss is basically gonna be almost immobilized, which is quite funny to take a look at. So yeah, these are the alternate towers, and so far we're holding off pretty darn well. We're already on wave 22, and so far we had no struggles. I mean, yeah, sure, that Pokeway Rider got kind of almost out of range of the Axe Thrower, which goes to show me that I really needed to add more air support. And if you couldn't tell, this video sadly is, well, not really pre-recorded, but it has post-commentary. Because as much as I wanted to, like, you know, talk live while I was playing this level, I wanted to leave the commentary for later, because that way I could focus more on the game and you know, maybe get a little bit of a higher score than I otherwise would have. Now, I'm not saying that my high score is great, let's just say that, but I would say I got reasonably far with this strategy, and it turns out to work out pretty well. Our main issue really is flying enemies. I probably, now that I'm looking back at this video and, you know, looking at the footage, I realized how little I cared about flying enemies. So I was like, I'm gonna get this little baby tower, that should be enough, you know. I mean, yeah, when a flying enemy has like 200 HP, I'm pretty sure this is not gonna be enough. I definitely should have went for more Archmage spam or Tribal Axe Throwers, depending on the situation, but yeah, I mostly went for Dwarves, and I think I went for one Templar at the very top, just because there was a mini-boss coming in pretty late, and the Templars ended up carrying for quite a while, because I think Karkinos was on low HP, which, you know, we're gonna see later on. For now, let's just talk about what's going on right now. So far, everything is going pretty swimmingly. I mean, yeah, the waves are kind of slow, but, you know, I'm trying to insta-call them as much as I can. Well, not really, because I'm not spamming W like consistently. Because sometimes it's better to just wait for those 2 seconds to get your Rain of Fire activated and then speed up the wave, so that way you can get it recharged. You know, it's usually better. Or maybe if you need like a split second to get your reinforcements. Sometimes you can't just call and instantly call a wave, because even though you're gonna get more hype, a better high score, or, you know, bonus points, yeah, I don't think it's worth it for like every single wave. Sometimes it's better off to just take your time. At least that's what I've learned from my like technically third attempt at Endless Mode. Because after my last stream, I haven't really tried out Endless Mode like at all. Like, sure, I'm not saying that it's bad or anything, but I'm just not the type of person to go out of his way to just get to like something insane like wave 80 plus, which I'm not even sure if it's possible. Maybe it is on casual, and if you use like OP heroes like Bonhart or Bruxa, but you know, that's just not my thing. I prefer to do it legit. I prefer to give it my fair attempt and see how far I can get. And whatever high score I get, I'm like, alright, that was a decent attempt. I mean, sure, if I perform poorly, like, let's say I die to like wave 20 for some reason. In this case, I'll be like, no, this is too bad, I need some improvements. And yeah, that's pretty much how I go. How I roll, I suppose. And yeah, this boss is kind of getting kind of far. But thankfully Karkinos ended up tanking due to his invulnerability. Like, look at that, just... The boss is not moving, man. He's dead. He's dead meat. Popped, and we got tons of cash. I need to check it out, actually. I need to really check out the wiki and see how much gold exactly you get per mini-boss kill. Because you get quite a lot, like, it's definitely like 200 plus. But I don't know like the exact amount. So yeah, the Archmage is doing pretty well so far, at least on the bottom. He's kind of alright. And we also got a Wasp Queen, so we may need the critical mass. Which is something that I kind of regret, because even though like it is helpful, later on it's kind of an irrelevant damage. Like, if enemies have more than 90 HP, which they definitely have, it's not gonna kill them fully, so I need to use reinforcements. But what if I need them? I need the reinforcements elsewhere. What if this happens? We're losing a lot of lives. And yeah, for the most part, I lost lives. The majority of my lives, if not all of my lives, were lost to flying enemies, which is kind of funny considering the towers that we have. Like, we have multiple towers that are pretty good against flying enemies, and yet we lost to them. I mean, all right, they are annoying. Let's just say that. Because you can't stall them, you can't slow them down by any way. Well, I suppose if Karkinos' shoulder cannon ends up hitting them, I guess this can kind of slow them down, but chances are it's probably not gonna happen. The major issues are multiple enemies. Wasp Queens, because they are pretty durable, or, I mean, they don't have any armor or anything, but they have a lot of health, and they spawn 5 wasps when they die. And also, Pokai Riders are surprisingly difficult, or, you know, just the bird, Pokai, or whatever it was called. You know, the bird. It's kind of annoying because it has very fast movement speed, like, it just flies right by everything. So yeah, that's why I needed to upgrade my wizard over there up to level 3, so that at least I can damage them a little bit more. So that way I have a higher chance of killing them. I probably should have upgraded up to Archmage, which I think I did. Yeah, I think I upgraded him, but I'm not quite sure if I upgraded him now or later. I suppose it is later because I'm getting the Axe Thrower, the Totem of Weakness ability for the Axe Thrower, which, you know, it's definitely helpful. I should have gotten it much earlier, but, you know, I just kind of forgot about it, to be honest. But yeah, it is definitely gonna help out quite a bit, because every enemy in its radius is gonna take 40% extra damage, which is a pretty tremendous amount of help. I mean, sure, it doesn't work on the mini-boss, I've learned that, but it does reduce his damage, which could help out quite a bit. Now here I think it's my first life that I lost. Yep, I lost 1 life, am I gonna lose even more? I think so. Yeah, Pokai Riders are kind of annoying. I waited up for the Rain of Fire just so I can nuke the Wasp Queen, as well as some of the Matriarchs. But yeah, I mean, we lost 3 lives, which, you know, it's okay. Whatever, losing a couple lives, who cares? As long as we don't lose all of our lives, we are Gucci. And yeah. So far, everything is looking good. The next mini-boss is about to appear pretty much the next round. And I'm not quite sure if we'll be able to pull it off. I don't know, like, what do you guys think? Are we gonna die, or are we gonna survive? Comment down below. Well, actually, you don't have, because you can just skip ahead into the video and see, but, you know. So, yeah. Look at this. Look at these mini-bosses now. First things first, this guy's getting very close to the exit. Like, I really hate that short path and when the mini-boss spawns from there. Thankfully, Templars do be OP. I mean, look at that. Look at how little damage some of them are taking. That's quite nice. So yeah, they are pretty darn tanky. If I went for Assassins here, he probably would have ended up getting a little bit further. So yeah, it's a good decision to go for Templars on Endless Mode. Like, they carry, man. Look at that. Because I can't have Karkinos stalling 2 bosses at once, the Templars are kind of, you know, doing his job over there. We got tons of cash for it, so we should probably be getting something. Just a little bit of a something. And yeah, here I decided to upgrade my, sell my barrack and replace it with a mage. Not quite sure if that was the best option, but I did it for two reasons. One, to avoid Reapers spawning very close to my exit, and two, to make it so that I have a little bit extra air support. Because yeah, flying enemies, as I said, they're gonna be the death of me later on. Also, we have Gorillons, finally, new enemy. Oh, and a Blue Trickster, but he's already dead, so I guess he had a very short life. The Wasp Queen is surprisingly going down very fast. I was surprised at the one at the top. Like, it died very quickly, but that's because the Archmages were able to build up their 3 magic bolts and shoot at her, which was a huge burst of damage. And that's what the Archmage is good for, burst damage. If you leave him for a while to just pile up his magic bolts and shoot it at an enemy, that's a lot of magic damage, and it is quite nice. So yeah, here I decided to go for critical mass. I'm not quite sure if I upgraded up to tier 3. I think I did. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I didn't. Oh, this Pokai just had like barely any HP. Well, that was disappointing. We should not have lost that life, but I guess in the end it doesn't matter. So yeah, now we're getting. I think we got the Pokai Riders at this point. You know, the tough ones. But Templars are surprisingly strong enough to withstand, to hold against them. Plus they have the 40% chance to regenerate, or resurrect, I suppose, which is kind of helpful. I would say it's better than the toughness upgrade, because one, it is cheaper, and two, I just prefer it, alright? I know that the toughness is gonna increase their efficient HP by quite a bit, because they'll get an additional 150 HP. And that's quite a lot of HP. But keep in mind that this is $600. For $600 I can get something much better. And yeah, so we're still struggling to flying enemies, which is kind of funny. Oh no. No, more wasps are about to leak. God damn it. Yeah, and we have a Wasp Queen, which I thought was gonna be the thing that kills me, but somehow, I guess we got some luck. I guess we somehow survived it. Like, look at that. I don't know, like, I'm still impressed that I survived this. I thought that here was gonna be the death, like, around the late 40s, but surprisingly, I was able to make it past. So yeah, now we have to be very precise with our lives, because as you can see, we have only 2 hearts. And that's not a lot. That's not a lot of hearts to work with. Even if an enemy that takes 2 lives sneaks through, we're dead. Or multiple enemies that take away 1 life. To be honest, it doesn't matter. So yeah, now that I saw how bad my air support is, I decided to just go straight for a couple mages, just so I can improve my chances, which, to be honest, I'm not quite sure how much they did. I hope that they did something, and judging by how far I was able to get, I think they did. Alright, now what do we have next? Probably nothing too threatening. Yeah, as you can see, we're not struggling that much at this point. Like, sure, we still have our enemies that could counter our defense, but I think we're fine. The main issue really comes in from the boss. The mini bosses at this point are gonna be ridiculous. They'll have like over 10,000 HP, which is a lot of health. That's a lot of health. And I think one of them ended up spawning in a bad position. I think one of them ends up getting very close to my exit. Like look at these positions. Both of these guys are gonna get very, very close in a short period of time. And I kind of didn't have to waste my Rain of Fire, because it barely tickled the boss. It barely tickled his toes or whatever he has, his tendrils or tentacle thingy. It barely tickled him. And I should have used the Rain of Fire somewhere else, but I didn't, because, you know, stupidity. We all do some stupid mistakes every now and then, right? And the next wave just wanted to screw me over. Everything flying enemy, like, really. Game, why did you do this to me? Why did you bring me this suffering? Why are you sending a lot of flying enemies to me? Especially now that I have too many bosses. I mean, the Templars are holding their ground very well, but they can only hold off for so long, so I was kind of hesitating, so I used the Rain of Fire a little bit too early. I should have used it on the Wasp when the Wasp Queen was above the mini boss, so that way I can hit her as well. And that ended up being my fault, because look at that. Because of that mistake, I'm gonna die. And yeah, that's a GG, guys. Well, we got to wave 52, not terrible. Alternate Towers did pretty well. I'm quite impressed. And yeah, guys, well, with that out of the way, that's gonna do it for the video. Thank you everybody so much for watching. I appreciate you for sticking around to the end. Subscribe if you want to see more of this content in the future. And while you're at it, drop a like on the video, it means a lot to me. And I will see you in the next video. Until it comes, that was King Rexy, over and out.